Hello GCC, welcome to our last video, the 5th video on chapter 2, math skills. So we just learned how to put a scientific number in a calculator. Again, you use the EE button. On some calculators it's EXP, but on the TIs it's an EE button. And you do not punch in times 10. The EE button is a shortcut for times 10 to the power of. So don't hit times 10. So now I've got a practice problem for you to try on your calculator. So turn it on. 2.84. 2.84. Don't hit times 10. Hit your EE button or EXP button. Then hit 23. Now hit divided by. 7.24, EE button or EXP, and a 12. Hit equals. It's a big long number, I know. How many sig figs should it have? Let's assume these are measurements. Okay, 3 sig figs, right? 2.84 is 3, 7.24 is 3, so 3. 3 sig figs. So we've got 3.92, it doesn't need to round up. And then look over in the corner. That is an exponent up high. It means times 10 to the, and hopefully it says 10. Yes, the answer is 3.92 times 10 to the 10. If you got this wrong, then you didn't use your EE or EXP button correctly. You probably typed in times 10. Don't type in times 10. This is a must. You have to be able to divide scientific notation numbers like this on your calculator. So if you need help, make sure you send a message to your instructor. If you don't have your calculator yet, write this down on your notes, this problem and the answer, so you can check it as soon as you buy your calculator or as soon as it comes in if you bought it online. Okay, so again, got to be able to do division with scientific notation numbers on your calculator. Good luck. So, what if your calculator shows a large number? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we're supposed to put it in scientific notation. The TI-30XA calculator, the one I'm holding, has a shortcut for this. You push the big yellow second button in the upper left corner and then hit SCI, which is above the 5. And boom, it put it in scientific notation for you. 1.2345678 with a little 8 in the corner times 10 to the 8. Okay, for other calculators, you have to do the mode, and that's okay, it just takes a lot of keystrokes, so sometimes it's not worth it. Now, to get out of this, because you need to get out of it, you don't want all your numbers in scientific notation all the time, you hit the second, the big yellow button in the upper left corner, second, and hit flow for floating decimal, FLO, which is above the 4. And now it's back to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So again, second psi, second flow. Takes you back and forth from scientific to normal. Floating is normal notation if you have this calculator, the TI-30XA calculator. Again, other calculators can do the same thing by changing the mode to psi, scientific mode. Good luck with that. Remember to put it back in flow, floating decimal mode when you're done. Again, if you need help with this, ask your instructor. Last thing in chapter 2 is percents. We're going to encounter percents in various chapters. This is to tell you that percents are always part of something over that whole thing times 100. Part over whole times 100. All percents are always this. Let's do an example. A gold ring massing 239.45 grams contains 198.38 grams of pure gold. What percent of the ring is gold? So part is on top. Which number is the part? The part that's gold. I hope you said the 198.38. You're correct. So what's the whole ring? That's the 239.45. So let's divide those two. 198.38 divided by 239.45. Don't forget, times 100 equals big long number. You don't write all the numbers down. These are measurements. We're dividing. So are we going on sig figs or decimal places? We're dividing and multiplying. Sig figs, sig figs. How many sig figs do we need to round this big long number to? How many sig figs are in the problem? Hope you said 5. So the answer is going to be 82.848%. 5 sig figs. 82.848% gold. That's a percent. Good job. All right. This is our last thing in this chapter. I got some math problems for you to try. Simple math problems. I want you to hit pause and try these, especially if this is your online course. This is your lecture. You need to pause and work with these. I know we're not in a class where you could work with a friend, but work on these on your own. Actually pause and do these, please, so you learn. Okay, we're back. Let's answer these 5 questions. Number 1, we are adding. When we add, do we focus on sig figs or decimal places? The least amount of decimal places, which is how many decimal places? Yeah, 1 decimal place. 14.2 only has 1 decimal place. So the answer is 37.8 centimeters, 1 decimal place, not 37.769, which is what your calculator showed you. Again, you have to round to the least amount of decimal places when we add and subtract. Number 2, we are subtracting. So we go with the least amount of decimal places. I put this one in here on purpose. What's the least amount of decimal places? None, right? 97 doesn't have any decimal places. So the answer can't either. So the answer is 778 grams, not 777.56. Okay, we got to round to 778, no decimal places, because 97 doesn't have any decimal places. All right, number 3, we're multiplying. Multiplying means we focus on sig figs, the least amount of sig figs, which is 2. 1.9 inches has 2 sig figs. So the answer is 6.6 inches squared, because inch times inch is inch squared. And we can only have 2 sig figs because we're multiplying. So 6.6, not 6.574. Number 4, we're dividing. So do we go by sig figs or decimal places? We're dividing. Yeah, sig figs. Go with the least. What's the least amount of sig figs? 3, right? 22.5 milliliters is 3 sig figs. So the answer is 38.9 grams per milliliter. Notice the units didn't cancel. Grams over milliliters is grams over milliliters. That's your unit, grams per milliliter. And again, it's not 38.900444444. Okay, that's too many sig figs. We round to the least. 3 sig figs. And number 5, we got a scientific notation problem. We've got 4.25 times 10 to the 54th over 3.87 times 10 to the 17th, also over 7.15 times 10 to the 8th. So you need to figure out how to do this in your calculator. So you need to get a calculator and practice this problem, because we're going to have very similar problems to this. The answer is 1.54 times 10 to the 28th. So again, if you're not getting that on your calculator, contact your instructor. You can maybe set up a Zoom meeting or attend a Zoom session with them to work on your calculator. Worksheets. By the way, for Chem 130, every chapter has a worksheet or more than one worksheets. These are not to be turned in because the answers are there. These are your practice problems to try out before you do your homework, quizzes, and exams. Okay, practice problems. So practice worksheets. These are on the website or they might be in Canvas depending on your instructor, and they go with each chapter. So the worksheets are very important. They're your practice problems because especially if you're in the online class, we don't have a class to practice together. So you need to practice these on your own. So start practicing them now. Seriously, if you haven't done it yet, you should look at the worksheet for chapter 1. It's a good one. You should look at the worksheet for chapter 2 as well. So you need to do these practice problems in the worksheets that are on the website or they might be in Canvas depending on your instructor. Also, every chapter ends with practice problems. You should do those too. So you have practice problems at the end of each chapter and you have practice problems in the worksheet. Practice, practice, practice. The more you practice, the higher your grade. So your instructor may even have more problems to practice, but this will get you started. So the more practice problems you do, the more successful you will be in this class. Good luck, JCC. That's the end of chapter 2.